2, 3, 4.
Who y'all came to see tonight? Who gon' get the ladies feeling something? Ooh, we gon' lock this groove in tight.
Yeah, we'll lock it in there.
Don't have us lock this groove down for nothing. Oh, oh, lock, and we got what you came to see.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's about that time to get out your seats and make some noise for our host. Give it up for Bootsy Collins.
Well, all right. It is I, Blaster of the Universe, Spook Silver himself. Fellas, I hope you got something in your cup. And ladies, don't be afraid to make your way to the stage for a band that I named.
Welcome. Good evening, and welcome to One-on-One with Ray McGuire. I'm L. Joy Williams, a senior advisor on the campaign to elect Ray McGuire as our next mayor. And we have a lot to get to this evening, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to bring the man himself to the front of this the screen. Hey there, Ray.
What's going on, L. Joy?
You were on time.
No, I was ahead of you. You can't be on time, be early.
You were on time.
You ain't gonna call me out this week. No way.
Well, you know what's funny? I shared a picture on Twitter. You know, my husband is out with the kids, but you know, from your conversation with him, he left me snacks on my desk with a little note that says, "For you during drinks with Ray Ray." Why did you tell him to call him Ray Ray?
That's my cat there. He knows what's up. He knows what's up.
He left me some candy, some popcorn and drinks and stuff. He was like, you know, I know y'all about to have some fun. I got you some little snacks.
I'm working with my wheat thins. Yep. I got other stuff too, but you know, I'm good.
Yeah. And you're looking mighty college professory this evening.
Yeah, I'm teaching today.
Yeah.
When I have to go educate some folk, that's what I wear.
When you have to go educate some folk.
When I gotta drop some knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to get confused about my.
So you want to look the part.
Professorial. That's what I'm looking like. I'm in the academy.
Okay.
Like a professor. That's what this is about. That's what's up today, Friday.
Okay. And you're gonna do that on on One-on-One with Ray.
That's what I'm
dropping
saying.
some knowledge tonight.
Drop some knowledge. That's it. You got snacks. You ready to take some notes?
Mm-hmm.
Your husband just left you, just set you off. Good. We good. I'm set.
Okay. All right. Well, it seems like you had a good week. You're all perked up, or is it just the weather? Because it's nice outside.
Oh, it's beautiful outside. I was outside yesterday and today. Yep. It's been a few good weather days.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, the team was saying, I don't know how many people gonna be on tonight because everybody out in the streets. It's like a summer night in the city, and you know how those can go.
Well, it's getting a little chilly, so you know it's getting a little chilly. I don't know how many folk gonna be out that late because the temperature drop. You know, we get outside pretty quick, like right. Then I did it because man, I gotta go. It get a little cold out here. Y'all can.
Well, you know, people get happy, particularly when we have the double thing because it's not only the snow and the colds, because remember, just last week we were all bundled up.
I know.
It's like, you know, so the cold, but then people being in the house because of COVID. So it's, you know, nice outside. I saw the people running outside with shorts and tank tops already. You know, it don't take much for New Yorkers.
Who was running in shorts and tank tops? I'm just curious.
There were people running in shorts and tank tops today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I got it. I know who they were.
Oh my gosh. Don't say it.
I just know who it was.
Yeah. Well, let's say hi to the people in the chat and in the comments. If you have questions, make sure to drop them in. We're going to be engaging with you all night. And just because you're camera shy doesn't mean you can't ask the question. We'll get to that when we go to the better part. But I want to bring up something else, Ray, because I got a Post-it note here that our finance team.
Another one from your husband?
Not from no. I got a Post-it note here with a note from our finance team.
But I know my man be leaving notes as reminders. We got to do that. Brothers got to do that. Right?
Well, either
I drop Post-it notes too. I drop Post-it notes too. You know,
in exchange for the honey-do list. I'm sure that
Lord, I know. I worked through that. That list has shrunk though. I got a whole big honey-do list. It's like weeks long.
Oh, maybe Crystal is giving you a break since you're running for office. Maybe you don't.
Yeah, she still got some stuff for me to get done. So I got a break. And she get off that honey-do list or just, cross things off, which I do.
Yeah.
They get put back on the list though. So
I have the benefit of, because Miles is a teacher, his honey-do list I save mainly for the summer. Because so
I try to save it that long.
I have whole lists, like go to storage, take this, do that. I have a whole list.
Yeah, I got a whole list too. I don't know what it is, but I got a big one.
The next note I have is about fundraising from our finance team.
What are they telling you? This is why we had a good week, right?
That's why we had a good week.
Don't hold back. Light them up. How'd we do?
You did pretty good, I think. I think this is why you don't have a honey-do list, because you're out here in these streets trying to.
I tell you all the time, Rick Ross ain't got nothing on me.
Oh my God! But in the past 8 weeks, since the last time we reported for a deadline, we've raised approximately $2.6 million.
But I'm talking.
Yes. Sorry. But the most thing I'm most impressed about and surprised about is that 75% of donors are from New York City. So people are engaged in this city about this race. And for 75% of our donors for this campaign, it's not a whole bunch of outside money as people may think. These are New Yorkers who care about this city who are contributing to this campaign.
This is about New Yorkers. That is an inspiring number, I have to say. Even if I were competing against me, that'd be an inspiring number. But I'm not. So that means people are supporting us. Mm-hmm. The message is resonating. And it's resonating to the tune of people decide they want to, make contributions, both dollar contributions, and people are getting out. So that's why this has been such a great week.
Yeah. Well, the other reason why it's been a good week, and I know you wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you, because we have some folks that have been out in the street when it's warm and when it's cold, collecting signatures for you to get on the ballot, which is another milestone that we have to take. And I have a couple of pictures here, but I know you wanted to take a moment to say thank you to those who's been out on the street for you.
I just want to clear, this is a ground game. So the people who've been out in the streets getting the petition signed, we can't get there without you. This is so critical to us being able to participate in this race and us being able to lead this city forward. This is all local. And what you're doing locally is making a huge difference. We can't get there without you. The city needs you. I need you. I am deeply, deeply appreciative of all the efforts that you're putting in. We're going to have to do some more work, but we got great momentum, as much, if not more than anybody else. And it's because of you. So let me take this time to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're making a huge difference in the lives of all New Yorkers, and especially this one. Thank you.
Well, I know it's not easy, and particularly during this COVID situation, you want to maintain distance. You want people to be safe, and being out in the street collecting signatures to get you on the ballot. That's our next milestone. I'm looking forward to being back at the end of the month to talking about how many signatures we got from New Yorkers to get you on the ballot. So that's exciting too. I love campaigning. in New York. I love campaigning in New York.
You know what? I do too. In large part because of, leaders and experts and standards of excellence like you. So thank you for being you.
Oh,
all your fabulousness. That's all right. Especially on a Friday night.
On a Friday night.
Hell joy with the professor. Let's get it done. What we got?
Joy with the professor. Okay, so I have some rapid fire questions for you. We tweet out and we post a link for people to submit their questions during the week so that they don't forget them by the time we come here to the weekend. And there are a couple of questions we have just about your New York experience that, not only that people want to know more about, but, we get a lot of these questions on questionnaires too, whether on outlets or whatever asking you about this. So here's the first one. Do you have a pet?
No, we do. It depends on your definition of pet. I had to think about that. So you mean a cat or a dog or a goldfish?
Alligator or,
we don't have any. No, we thought about an alligator, but we decided we wouldn't go.
Yeah, because I feel like that might be illegal in New York.
Yeah, I don't know about alligators, but we thought about it and we just said, no, we don't have enough space for the alligator.
Have you ever had a pet?
Yeah, growing up, I had a pet. Not in New York, but yeah, I had a Great Pyrenees named Valdez.
Valdez?
Yeah. I know, Valdez. I don't know how we got Valdez. In the neighborhood, a Great Pyrenees, which is a very large, attractive, all-white dog. We call him Valdez. That was a hot name then. That's a hot name now. That was all right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The next one. Do you have a favorite New York City restaurant? And if so, what is it?
I would probably say Melba's, Red Roosters, and San Pietro. Yeah, I know they asked for one, but I can't choose it. I can't choose them. It's my favorites. Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. So here's one. So I know you have a lot of celebrity friends and things like that. But one of the other typical New Yorker question that we get is, do you have a favorite New York City celebrity sighting story?
A celebrity sighting story?
Yeah, like you were on the subway, you were something, and you were like, "Oh my God, that's so and so." Did you
I do that all the time. I'm fanboy all the time. I see.
Oh boy.
I'm just like, I'm a little shy about asking for autographs.
Most New Yorkers, yeah.
If I see Clyde the Glide, that's like, Clyde get it done. Every now you see the Pearl. I was in church. I was going to look back and the minister, there's Earl of Pearl Monroe. That's like, you know who Earl of Pearl was? You don't even know. Shh, come on now. Earl of Pearl, New York Knicks, my man could dance with that basketball. No doubt about that. Earl of Pearl get it done.
My name doesn't go back that far, unfortunately.
It's okay. I'm just giving you the history that you should know about the New York Knicks and about basketball, the game of basketball. So that's what that's about. That's what's up with that.
The professor. That's
I'm dropping knowledge.
Dropping knowledge.
I put on a tie and a vest. No, I'm ready to drop some knowledge.
Okay, all right. Here's my next one. What's your favorite touristy thing to do in New York City?
Probably go to the top of the Empire State Building. Take Leo and go to with Crystal, of course, because she, guides us. But taking the family top of the Empire State Building, taking those pictures, that's like you see all of New York. That's pretty good. Or, getting on one of those boats and going in the harbor. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like those. I like those things. Being outdoors. Love being outdoors.
Okay. All right. What is the thing that annoys you most about living in New York City?
Man, when the trains are late or when I miss a train, I got to wait.
And it seems like forever.
It seems like the train will never come. That's like, and I'm trying to get on the train and then I'm trying to keep the door open and I got a foot in and then, they open the door and I try to do it again and then the door closes. That I get pissed off to the highest level. You ever had that? That's it. Or the other thing when I'm trying to get cross town in traffic, that's like, there's a whole new language and that happens.
Listen,
So what I now do?
Okay.
Doing? I take the city bike cross town.
Well, it definitely traffic over the last, I would say 10 years, getting from Bed-Stuy, downtown Brooklyn, like it can take you like 30, 40 minutes these days. Like getting down and that definitely
And once you're down there trying to get back, that's like crazy, right?
Yeah, you got to pick your times. And I feel like this is an easy one, but I'll ask it anyway.
All the other ones have been really hard, so I'm glad you're letting the brother down easy.
What is the thing you love the most about New York City?
The game. I love the game. I love the game of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing them kids get crossed up or somebody raise up and dunk. Just pure skill. Because when you go to the court, when nobody knows who you are, they don't know what you do. They don't know who your mama or daddy is. They don't care. It's whether or not you got game. That is the city's game. That's the street game. And that is the game that kind of determines who's got skills and who don't. And when you go out there, you cannot, unless you got total game, you cannot wear Stan Smith sneakers to the court. You got to have game. So that, I look at the street game here, and the game is played everywhere, but this is the street game. And I look at the lessons that we learn in life, having played basketball in the park, where all that really matters is whether or not you got the skill set. That's it. And you'll get the opportunity if you got the skill set to play. And if you don't have the skill set, you sit on the sideline until you get the skill set. You in the gym working on your game, and you get total respect or you get totally disrespected in the game. So I love the game of basketball in New York City. That is one of the most engaging, inspiring, uplifting, depressing, reputation building, reputation destroying aspects of the city, all in one game. All in one game. If you got game, people remember it. If you ain't got game, they kind of, don't remember you.
Yeah. I wish I would have learned how to play. I'm a voyeur. I'm a basketball voyeur. So you talk about going to West. Yeah, going to West Fourth. Like I remember doing that in high school, like basically sneaking because I wasn't allowed. I could go to West Fourth by myself, but like when we like late, early 90s or whatever, I couldn't go past 79th Street by myself, with my friends or whatever. But we would go to West Fourth and we would hang out, in front of the thing, go get food, sit out there, hang on the gate, talking about.
Yeah, I remember when I first came to New York. I went to the cage. You got to have game down there. You got to have game. So that was my entry into New York, and playing there and playing at Riverside and playing in Central Park. That gives you the confidence that you can make it here, because there's no legacy there. Legacy don't matter. They may give you a little heads up for that legacy, and they may give you a little bit, okay, that's so-and-so's kid, or that's so-and-so's cousin, that's so-and-so's dad. But you know what? After that, you on the court, it is the true measure of what you got.
Well, with that, we have some brothers on the phone to talk to you this evening that have some questions. Yeah, you got some brothers.
Yeah. We good.
So the first one I'm going to bring up is Mr. Kingman. Hello there, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well. How are you?
Good. So he works as a senior manager in information technology and services, and he previously worked in law and healthcare. But Mr. Kingman, I know you have a question for Ray, so I'm going to let you go off and ask your question.
Straight up, first, Mr. Kingman, you look good, man. I got to tell you, you got that pocket square on with that blue. Pocket square is nicely pressed. I can never get my pocket square that lined up, man. So that's all right, man. I respect that. That's a nice game. You look good Friday night, man. You going out after this?
I may see my brother after. Yeah.
Okay, go out with your brother, have a cocktail, man. Oh, maybe have a little ginger ale with the lime in it or something. Just toast it, right? It's a great Friday night. Yeah.
It's my birthday weekend, so we're
oh man, that's like, man, you're just 21, right? That's great, man. That's all right.
Exactly.
That's great. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'll jump to my question, Ray. When I saw your video, Ray for Mayor, Now You Know, you said in this chapter, it's not about me, it's about we. And I mean, obviously, you are an Ivy educated male. And for me, speaking as a millennial, I know your career in finance and business spans longer than I've even been alive. So, who is this we that you're referencing in your video? And if you're elected, what efforts do you plan to make to mitigate the risk of government by the privilege?
Great question. Love the way that question is phrased. The we is all New Yorkers, especially the New Yorkers who look like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be clear about that. I want to be bright, clear, and unequivocal about that. And I'll come back to what some of the underpinnings of that is. And how is it that I ensure this is not government by the privilege? You know, the question's been asked in a lot of different ways. My answer is that I'm unbeholden. I'm not anybody's pocket. Nobody's in my pocket. So that means that I have a true north. And that true north is not a weather vane. So I don't do or say what is politically expedient. I could never have done or said what I thought or others may have thought was politically expedient. You don't get into the position I've been so fortunate to be able to get into, compete to get into, and stay there for as long as I did if you are adherent to one constituent or the other. The level of scrutiny on a 6'4", 200-pound black man in the world of finance, where I've had to break down doors. And while I was a soul brother, S-O-U-L, I made certain I wasn't a soul brother, S-O-L-E. It made certain that I did what others have done for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that include? It includes the ladder that was extended to me by Franklin Thomas, whom you may or may not know. And you should research a little bit on Franklin Thomas. I'm dropping a little knowledge now. Franklin Thomas started the Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation. Franklin Thomas was one of the first heads of the Ford Foundation. Franklin Thomas negotiated the peace in South Africa with Mandela, de Klerk, and Botha. Franklin Thomas was the best friend of one who also extended a ladder to me, and the one in the name of Vernon E. Jordan, who this past Tuesday, I was in Washington, D.C. at its going home service, and he extended the ladder to me. So if there's anything, if there's any legacy that exists in their lives, then it's the lessons they taught me to make certain that those, especially those who look like me, have the opportunity that is necessary for them to go and perform. And so that they can go up and do the same thing, pass the torch, extend the ladder. So if there's ever been anything about my journey, it's a history of having done that for people like you, Mr. Kingman, who, and I've returned practically every phone call and every email to make certain that you get exposed to the things that I know about so I can pass down that knowledge. Because when I came into this business, there was only one or two people on the planet who did what I've been able to accomplish. And so it's incumbent upon me to make certain that you get exposed and that you get the training. So me having been involved in practically the creation of probably as much wealth and as much opportunity for Black and brown people as anybody in this race collectively, that means that and I did that when there was no advertisement, when I wasn't running for office. I did this because the right thing to do. And this is a life of service if it's a life of anything. Mm-hmm. And that service has to be to those people who especially look like me so they can have the opportunities and their children can have the opportunities that I had. So no, privilege, I'm unencumbered. I'm unbeholden.
Glad to hear that.
And thank you for asking the question.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so very much for that, Mr. Kingman. And I told you, Ray, that people was going out in these streets because the weather
He's going out to have a birthday cocktail with his brother.
Yes.
So I'm good with that, man. Listen, have an extra strong ginger ale, put a little lemon and lime in there, right?
Yes, I'll wear a mask, of course, but
yeah, you got to wear a mask, man. But let me tell you what you want you to do when you get the mask. You got to do this, man. You can't do this. You can't like drink through the mask, man. I want you to take that mask down. Okay, I'm just dropping some knowledge. I'm a professor.
I appreciate that.
Happy birthday, and thank you so much
Happy
for taking
birthday, okay?
time celebrating to ask Ray a question. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh boy, connected to that, in talking about making sure you're not the last, thinking about you being in charge of the city, Ray, and whether it's your comeback, your economic comeback plan, whether it's on education, whether it's on building businesses, can you talk a little bit more about like how you plan to make sure that besides, your personal outreach, that your policy plan, like the economic comeback plan, that's in there, right? To make sure the extension of MWBE businesses, to make sure, that you are extending that ladder, not just to people who get your email address, but people in the city overall.
Well, it has to be the city overall. And why is that, Eljoy? Because the systemic inequities that exist today in healthcare, in education, in the economy, in the criminal justice system, those systemic inequities about which I have written a foreword to a definitive study that identifies the impact of those systemic inequities over the past 400 years and the past 20 years in specific have resulted in a $16 trillion loss to the U.S. economy. And if we began to address it today, that is a $5 trillion addition to the U.S. economy. So as I think about my vision that rests on the three pillars which you've identified, the economy, go big, go small, go forward, where there is a specific reference to and prioritization of MWBEs, which now fortunately includes LGBTQ+ in that MWBE, and the creation of a deputy mayor that focuses directly on making certain that procurement and dollars go into MWBEs and not just for one RFP, but consistently. So this group, these small entrepreneurs, we can invest so they can become bigger and employ more people. And so we have to go across the board, and the policies that I've outlined do just that. And there are specific references to the demographic, that is the people who have been excluded for quite some time. And I would say excluded beginning at the Great Financial Recession up to this point. And for the past, what now must be 12 plus years, excluded from the increase and the benefits that have occurred over that past probably half a dozen to a dozen years. So we have to address that. We're in a crisis now, but the crisis existed before COVID.
Yeah. And particularly because, this city is going to rebuild. The country is going to rebuild, right? The state is going to rebuild. And we need to make sure that we have ramps, for the communities that were already hurting, and the individuals who could not participate before, but also to make sure that we can also all prosper in that.
Well, I want, as I've said before, we've been outside for so long that they give us crumbs and they want us to feel full. I'm not interested in the crumbs. I am not interested in the cake. I'm interested in the goal that I have is for us to own the bakeries, not one, but multiple. When we begin to achieve that, then we will begin to have economic justice, and there's no social justice without economic justice. And so we have to be intentional. We got to be intentional about how we go about this. We can't manage by a press release and then have no accountability. We need to put accountability first, put the metrics in place, make them public so the world can see whether or not we're executing on the plan that we gave them and whether or not we keep on our words to our commitment.
Yeah. Well, I have somebody else with more questions before we get to the questions that are in the comments. So if you have a question in the comments or you waiting, put it in there now, because after this next person, we're going straight to your questions in the comments. So the next guest that we have, hey there, brother, is Brother Alon. He works in education. He's also an entrepreneur. He's a digital marketer. And is very active in his community in Queens. Shout out to Queens, where I grew up, Rosedale. Shout out. Okay. Just had to do that shout out real quick. But Alon has a question for you, Ray, continuing that conversation about our communities.
First of all, you got some nice art behind you. Who's the artist? Did you do that?
No, actually, so my parents are Haitian, and whenever they go to Haiti, they have a couple of, they bring back a couple of paintings. So I have a couple of paintings.
Alors, de Pétionville.
Yeah.
Pétionville.
Mm-hmm.
Tu es Haïti ou non?
Nah, I wasn't born in Haiti. No.
Okay. Tu parles français ou non?
Je parle petit Creole, a little bit. I can speak Creole.
All right, man. I'm seeing what you're working with. Okay, we good.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you all for allowing me this space. I want to shout out Chavez because tomorrow's my birthday as well. So I want to make
sure. Man, y'all ought to go. Y'all ought to get together, man.
Shout out Pisces, and but also I also want to say Chavez was looking extra sharp. Unfortunately, I got my Nike tech suit pressed. Like
you got what? What you working with?
My Nike tech suit. You know, I left the other suit at home.
Oh, you working tech gear? You've shouting out to Nike tech gear, okay?
Yeah, you know,
Chavez, you coming strong. You think your cat can roll with you with that Nike tech? He threw out. He didn't just say Nike. He didn't that Nike tech gear, Chavez. That's what cat working with, that Nike tech gear. That's like the finest Nike make, man.
Yeah, a little something. Huh? You know,
you can't get that online.
No, you can't. You gotta go hard and find them, you know, on the rack. But
what you got?
Definitely, I think the question that I had around, because I've heard you speak around different civics, and I think what really attracts me to your campaign is you know, your story and how you've literally come up, and it's inspiring. And I work in education with young Black brothers, and I just wanted to know before I ask my question, did you know that the city of Philadelphia has an Office of Black Male Engagement, which is basically dedicated to transforming the narrative around Black men and boys? And I guess my question to you is, how are you thinking of ways to help Black men reach their full potential? And the reason why I say this, last year, I had a friend of mine who was a corrections officer. His name is John Jeff. He was murdered on Springfield Boulevard, and he was shot 11 times viciously. And, you know, at his funeral, I was really thinking about, like, you know, what am I doing? Like, what work am I doing to make sure that a lot of our brothers are not left behind and left in a situation where they're out here doing things that are hurting our community? So I just really wanted to understand, you know, hear some of your stuff around that.
First of all, and I'm sorry about John Jeff. That's tragic. I want to be clear, man. Part of the reason that I decided to do this is because of what you've just outlined, right? As a Black man, I go into a department store and I can be one of three things, and I'm dressed up like Chavez. You know, I go in and I'm one of three things. I'm either men's suits, I am security, or I'm where's the restroom. And if I'm in my neighborhood and I'm dressed in Nike Tech, you know, who knows what's going down? They have no idea who I am, what I've done. And so the crisis that we're in as Black men is something that needs to be dealt with a sense of urgency that now does not exist. And we have to make it a much higher priority than what it is, because it doesn't exist at all. It's not on the screen. You know, we returned to George Floyd tonight because the family got a settlement. But look at how that case is being narrated. It's the George Floyd. They're talking about the George Floyd. But George Floyd is the victim. I thought it was the police officer who was on trial, not George Floyd. In each of these cases, we've changed the narrative. And so that narrative needs to be shifted so that not only do Black men get acknowledged and recognized, but that we prioritize and we highlight, because the situation today with Black men is we're in a crisis. And so what they're doing in Philadelphia is just begin the conversation. We ought to highlight it. But the thing that I want to highlight, because the thing that I don't want to have happen is to make certain that we support Black men being further marginalized or discounted because they are Black men. And so we need to make certain that we have the programs, and the programs are programs of respect and dignity. And if they're workforce training, let's treat it with the respect and dignity that's appropriate. When we give our people jobs, let's make certain that there are jobs where they are well trained so they can go into the higher paying jobs. There's an example of a job of a group out there now called Pursuit, which I reference often, where they take people offline who are making $15,000 a year. They train them. They have zero training before, making $15,000 a year. And they train them to become software engineers, and they re-enter the workforce at $85,000 to $95,000 a year. So I would begin a focus on making certain for those people who are formerly incarcerated to give them a skill set. Let's give them apprenticeships. Those people who have not been educated, of which that number of Black men is all too large, that we intervene now and make certain that we give them the education that's necessary, whatever is required. And those of us who become more challenged yesterday and today with mental health challenges, that we deal with that. And those of us who have become challenged because of substance abuse, that we deal with that. And so each of these in our entire community, we need to address, because we're in the midst of a crisis now. So what is taking place in Philadelphia begins it. We need to have something like that here. We need to scale it. We need to invest in it. And importantly, which is something we do not do, we need to highlight the successes. Not grandstand, but highlight the successes.
Agreed.
And let the people who have been rescued, let them tell their stories in their way, in a way that would allow them to maintain their dignity. And I got no job, I got no dignity. And so it is not by accident that I will take an empty bag and go into Dwayne Reed or CVS and fill it up. If I got no summer job, I got no community center, I got no rims or nets on the backboard, I got no broadband, I got no tablet, I got nothing, and I'm in a 1 or 2 room apartment with a whole bunch of other people, and I can't, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
And I got a lot of energy, right? And, school didn't treat me the right way. What do? We have to be able to intercede now. And I keep coming back to dignity. This is me. This is us. Right? If I didn't have a summer job that kept me out of trouble, who knows where I would be? Right? I don't want it to be an accident. I don't want it to be, you got to catch the lottery, not to be a statistic, not to be a statistical Black man. So I am so focused on this and so committed to this as a 6'4", 200-pound Black man who grew up in the neighborhood. I'm all in with this. Otherwise, ain't nobody talking about this. Who's that? Ain't a priority. Who's outraged? Ain't nobody outraged, right? I'm outraged. I'm indignant about this stuff. And sometimes I got to pull myself back so I don't become an indignant, angry Black man, right? But I'm out front. I got no ambiguity about where we need to be on this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just want to send a shout out to the NAACP, which I'm a part of, the Next Gen. They have done an amazing job at mentoring young people, and they deserve that. And President Johnson, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
NAACP and what President Johnson is doing
with Next Gen.
Work. They're doing the Next Gen, that work, and give a shout out. When I talk to him, I'll give him a shout out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Hey, listen, wait. You got to keep representing, man. You got to keep doing you, but you got to do it at the highest level. You got to do it at Nike Tech level. Okay, you can't discount this.
Yes, sir.
You're an example. So you got to go out and represent. Don't. They say championships are won when no one is looking. Go do the work. Do the work, man. We need you.
Yes, sir. Try my best. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Woo. You teaching today. You said that's what you was doing.
I'm KNOWLEDGE.
I can't with you. I could not. I look forward to this every week on what you gonna say different. What you gonna say different.
Everything different. I dressed up for the night.
Oh boy.
I think you're gonna come correct. Your husband left you a couple of love notes there, little stickers. That's all right. My man is like in the cut. That's cool.
Oh boy. Well, look, we have a couple of questions. I'm gonna try to get. We have some time to get through some of them before you're joining the
phone. We're in the class.
You're joining the clapback tonight, so I need to make sure you on time.
I'll be lit when I get to the clapback. I don't know if they're gonna be ready for me on the clapback.
All right. So earlier this week, so talking about forums and candidate forums, which you probably have a dozen a week. You were on a candidate forum about housing. And someone sent in a question. I think you were only able to talk a bit about your plan for homelessness. And so Diane specifically sent in a question. What is your plan for the homeless population?
So homeless, bad problem. 12 to 13,000 homeless men, 5,000 plus homeless women, 25 to 30,000 homeless families. So the first thing we need to do, and those numbers, when eviction moratorium lapses, those numbers are only going to go up. And so what do we need to do? We need to prevent, which means that we need to keep New Yorkers in their home, providing rental subsidies and legal assistance. Part of the federal stimulus package, the American CARES Act, is to do just that. But we need to do that. We also need to make certain that we support people who are transitioning from the formerly incarcerated, so from prison, from jail, from foster care, and that number is increasing, and or from hospitalization. So we need to prevent and do whatever we can to prevent the number of people who are going into the shelters. That's number one. Number two, we need to provide services, and those services include mental health services. They include, as I've talked about before, job training, to make certain that we have more than sufficient job training, workforce training, so that people can get exposed to different professions and they can transition into those professions. We need to have placement in childcare. And what I will do is to use the experience that I've had in managing and in leading, and simplify the bureaucracy, and also to make certain that we identify the service providers who can scale what is necessary when it comes to the services. Because part of the challenge is we've yet to identify and assess the services that are needed, and then we've yet to be able to provide those services. And then finally, we need a pathway, and that's a pathway to permanent housing. And what does that include? We need to shorten the time frame that people are in shelters. It's too long now. We need to invest in all the options to expand the affordable housing stock, which includes quality basement dwellings, accessory dwellings, and even communal housing. So we need to look at the entire structure of housing stock so that we can transition as quickly as we can from the shelters into more permanent housing. So it's prevention, it's services, and it's pathways, which is how I think about it.
Very good, very good. And I know you've been talking about that consistently. And there was a forum specifically on homelessness where you talked about that. I'm going to go from the bottom up. There's a question here. What have you learned from your kids? We learn so much from our young people these days. What can you say you've learned from your children?
I don't know. I don't know how to approach that. It's been so much. From our 8-year-old, Leo, I learned how to take a flagrant foul. For one, when we're playing basketball, kids all over me, so he doesn't have to cross me up. But I learned how, and I learned how to do this even more, and I've learned how to hug. Because Leo, every day, before he goes to bed, good night, Papa. And before he goes to school, he runs out of the room, he comes in and he gives me a hug. Then he comes back and he gives me another hug. And then, so there are probably 3 hugs in the morning before he goes to school. Goodbye, Papa. Have a good day. Love you, Papa. Love you, Papa. Have a good day. And so that is, if that a lesson, yeah, that's just pure unconditional love. And so I learned that from Leo. From Ella, I learned how to be creative because she's really creative, just a great mind. Mm-hmm. And so I learned how to be more creative and to think more about the future and to push myself in how I think. And I learned from Cole the message, at least what I knew early in my life, which is hard work, because he has to put in the work to get to where he is as a starting point guard for the Orlando Magic. And I see that dedication. And I also see that competitiveness, which is that he will not quit. There's no quit in him. And so it's redoubled my just how I engage that, how I digest it, if you will, how it becomes so much a fundamental part of me. And I look at those three kids on this journey, and it gets back to the question that was asked. It's about we. It's about our children, and it's about Leo and Ella and Cole, who taught me so much, and Crystal, who also is kind of the anchor to our family, and our family does as well as she does, or she does as well as her family does. So I would say love unconditionally expressed in at least 3 hugs in the morning and a hug at night, at least 2 at night. It is creativity and prepared to be on the edge going forward from Ella, and it's a work ethic and a dedication to excellence from Cole. My children teach me every day. Our children
That's
teach me
beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. The next question, back to policy questions, is from Peter. What about more affordable housing in Manhattan?
Affordable housing. Let's get this done. So the answer is we need more deeply affordable housing. And how do I describe that? So the housing that has been built over the past 7 years has been built at what they call above the median area median income. And that means the area median income is about $100,000. Above the area median income is 50% above, and below, which is where deeply affordable housing is, and I would say even down to 30 to 40% below, is described as the following. It is the housing such that the people who are living in the housing do not have to pay 50 to 60% of their income in rent. So in order for that to apply, you have to pay, $750 a week, or $9,000, $750 a month, or $9,000 a year if you're making $30,000, which is what many of our frontline workers make. And obviously, you go to $40,000 to $50,000, that's more, but it is housing that's at that level. And we have yet to build housing that is sufficient enough in numbers to be able to accommodate those people who are really making the city go. So my commitment would be to spend $1 billion to build, I'm going to say 5,000 plus units that creates $2+ billion worth of economic activity, puts a lot of people to work, and creates truly deeply affordable housing. And we haven't done that up to this point. So you have to make a commitment to it, because the housing situation today, we don't have enough housing stock because we didn't build. We didn't build commensurate with the way we had built historically, and we need to build that going forward if we're truly going to solve the housing crisis.
This is an interesting one. I don't know if someone's ever asked you this, but once elected, I think Rabin may be his name, because he knows you will be. What do you hope to accomplish during the first month?
During the first month, I got to focus on making sure that people get jobs. I want to make sure that we get people back to work. So I want to make sure that small businesses in the first month are up and running. That has got a sense of urgency now. It's going to put people back to work. So that is what I call the jobs accelerator, which is going to be the stimulus that kind of puts the adrenaline back into New York. That means small businesses across. That means putting Broadway back up. I got to get the bars and the restaurants back up. I have to get the Broadway back up. I got to get the workers back to work. And so I need to do that. And I need to start on these projects. So that's the first, how many days did it give me? First
month.
First month. So the first month I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to make a few phone calls. And those phone calls are going to be to the leaders who can get me broadband. The companies and the CEOs who can get me broadband, I'm going to have a call with them, and I'm going to convene them. And we know who they are. We have relationships with all of them, or we have access to all of them. And I'm going to see if we can call the people who make the tablets and or the laptops, get them to come in and make certain that our children have laptops that are workable. And I'm also going to make certain that I have training for our teachers and our parents, so that when we go from in classroom to digital, which we have done now, that people are prepared to do that. So I need to look at what is immediate. The most immediate thing is getting people back to work, get the city back up and running. I got no economic justice. I got no social justice. So I got to get us back up and running. This economy It is the economy. I got to get the economy going, because when the economy goes, people go back to work. Then I got to figure out the people. Then I got to focus on the kids. And I got to focus on those parts of the community, the members of the community who we didn't focus on beforehand, before COVID. And we need to focus on them now. And I'll do that in my first month.
That's a lot of work in 1 month.
I get the job done. That's the song too.
But that's what you're being called for, right? That's why you're running, is like, you're taking on that responsibility.
That's where you got, listen, I want to have a metric. I want to have a scorecard. People can look at, see whether or not I've gotten done what I say I'm going to get done. And where I have come up short, I want to go and make sure that grade improves.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Now, this last question, I think is for me, but I'll share it with you.
Share it with me. What you got?
Gina asked if someone was interested in working on the campaign.
Talk to L-Joy.
Where do they send resumes and who should they contact? Well, first I'm going to tell you need to go to rayformayor.com. And if you want to volunteer, donate, engage, or be part of our organizing team, volunteer team, you can go right to rayformayor.com. Ray, what you about to give out my email address? I
wasn't going to do that. No, L-Joy, I would not do that. I would not say ljoy@rayformayor.com. I didn't say that. I wouldn't say that, because you probably, L-Joy, it's just L.Joy Williams. Or you can skip all that and just say Joy, Joy, at rayformayor.com. It's all very simple. Very simple. So that's, I don't know. We welcome all volunteers, though, but listen, you got to understand who kind of runs the show here. It ain't me. I'm just saying. So we have welcomed a number of volunteers, and Joy has welcomed a number of volunteers. So anybody who is, anybody who is, I'd say we welcome the volunteers. And if that email bounces back, it's only because I got it wrong. So it may bounce back. I would do rayformayor.com better than Joy for Mayor. Joy, that's what I would do. Because I know at Ray for Mayor, it's going to go to the right direction. What I just gave y'all was like, I don't know if that's going to work. So,
sir, if you're interested in volunteering on the campaign or working on the campaign, rayformayor.com.
Rayformayor.com. Okay. I'm just saying, rayformayor.com. That other thing I gave y'all is not going to work. I tried it. I just tried it. It didn't work. I was distracted a little bit because I tried it, bounced back. So I don't know.
I'm going to let you go because you have to go to the clapback.
I'm going to
yeah.
And the clapback. So I won't. Be the time between now and time I get on the clapback, I'll have the right email for you. Because right now I'm confused.
You gonna give out my email address at the clapback too?
I'm confused because what I sent got kicked back, so I can't send that one. They're gonna say, Ray, you gave me like a rogue email. Nobody's coming back to me. So rayformayor.com, and go there, and then somebody's gonna respond to the people who want to volunteer, whom we welcome. So thank you. I'm gonna say, Joy, it's been a great night as always.
You just blow up the room and then just leave.
I gotta go. So listen, Joy, thank you. You're sending me over to see this right there. It's in the chat. Go to rayformayor.com to sign up. That's what I just said.
Sure.
Okay. So,
yes.
We'll talk to y'all later. Thank you. Have a great week. Okay.
Thank you, and have a great week. So if you want to get involved with the campaign, all you have to do is go to rayformayor.com to sign up and join this hilarious campaign to make Ray McGuire our next mayor. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. If you're going to be out in the streets, because the weather is nice this weekend, please make sure to still wear your mask. still wash your hands, still practice social distancing, and enjoy the weather, enjoy the time, but make sure to stay safe. We'll be back next Friday.